Hello guys, and welcome back for another movement breakdown video. In this week's video we're gonna look at one way to keep the kettlebell from bashing into your wrist. So grab your kettlebells and let's jump into this video. So what we want with this movement is a violent hip extension accompanied by a upward pull. So in our opinion, individuals should always look at the bend pattern in a less dynamic setting before going into more dynamic movements like the kettlebell snatch. So think of a good morning exercise or just a normal deadlift where you would look at the lengthening of the hamstrings while maintaining a neutral spine throughout the movement. If an individual is okay with doing that, then he can go through more dynamic exercises, but the advice would always be to make that movement better before going into the dynamic type exercises of the bend pattern. So knowing that the individual has proper length in the hamstrings, the core stability is on a good level, and they know the basics of the kettlebell swing, now is the time to progress into the kettlebell snatch. So the first thing you'll see when people do the kettlebell snatch is that they are going to bash the kettlebell into the wrist. So like this. Wrists are getting red and they don't like the movement anymore. I don't like it either now. So one thing that we oftenly advise to do is to make a punching movement to the front basically. So what we're doing is, of course, from the swinging motion, we're pushing in that direction while the kettlebell is moving upwards. So punch and then finish the shoulder flexion. So what we're doing is we're making a swing, we extend from the hips, we're pulling the elbow a little bit up, and then while the kettlebell is moving upwards, we're pushing in that direction, diagonally going upwards, pushing through, and then finishing shoulder flexion, and the rep is done. So again, swinging, then push, extend, or flex, sorry. Again, push, flex the shoulder, go back, push, flex. So there's a lot of movements incorporated into the kettlebell snatch, like we do it. So a hip extension, kettlebell going upwards, we're pushing that direction and pulling it again. So if I had no weight and I would do it in slow motion, I would go up, basically that movement. This will definitely stop the kettlebell from bashing into your forearms. So things you want to reconsider when doing the kettlebell snatch. First thing, do you have good shoulder mobility? Second, do you have good shoulder stability? Because it's one weight and it can go in multiple directions. So you want to have strong shoulders in order to have like a safe barrier for yourself to grab the weight if it falls in any direction. So what oftentimes happens with individuals who bash the kettlebell into the wrist is that they have a firm grip on the kettlebell and that they don't slide through it when it goes upwards. So it's basically the same principle as with a bar muscle up, whereas you would pull on the bar, but you need to slide your hands through in order to be on top of the bar. So this movement basically stands and falls by the ability to contract and relax inside the dynamic motion. So being able to contract and pull upwards, relax to get your hands sliding through the kettlebell, pushing that direction, and contract again to finish off with a shoulder flexion. Alright guys, that's it for this week's movement breakdown. Basically we only talked about keeping the kettlebell from bashing into the wrists. But don't forget that there are a lot of more stuff that are going on with the kettlebell snatch. Think about the core stability, how to maintain a neutral spine throughout the movement, how to effectively make the hip extension, etc, etc. So don't forget to look at those points as well. If you have any questions, please let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe on our channel. Peace out, homies.